How do you, as a business owner, start to get more time back in your life? That is a question that many suffer with. Many business owners end up in a dark place of just working more hours, working harder, and feeling like they're just treading water. They're not making an impact on their business. We want to talk today on Business Growth Secrets about how to achieve that work life balance that people really talked about that never seem to be able to reach, and how to structure their business in a way where they can feel energized, refreshed, and make big impact. Let's jump in to this episode of Business Growth Secrets. So today on Business Growth Secrets, I am with Jamie. So Jamie from our team, incredible guy, big into personal development, loves business growth, funnels. He is one of our coaches here on CRM. So he helps our clients to get their CRMs up and running, putting funnels in place, and does some really cool stuff. And he today is making his debut on Business Growth Secrets. So welcome, Jamie. Looking forward to the questions that you've gone and sourced from our audience. How's things going? And
All good,
you've
buddy.
been a previous podcast listener, right? I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. Previous podcast listener. I've listened from the beginning to the end of the podcast multiple times. And guys, if you haven't already, make sure you go to the very first episode and work your way through because it is amazing. Now, Adam, as you know more than most people, that running a business means 1,000% commitment. And there's a dark side to being a business owner. And we'd like to dive into some common challenges and how you've dealt with them. Now, one element which comes up time and time again is the difficulty business owners have when it comes to taking that time out. Now, you've recently taken some time out of your business yourself. How did you feel about taking a break from the business?
In terms of recently, not such a problem because as your business grows, you're trying to develop a management structure and a team structure where not everything is dependent on you. But if I were to take you back to the early stages of running my businesses and different businesses that I've had, there have been times where I've just felt like if I was to take the time out, that everything would start to fall to pieces. And if I was to miss that call, or my cash flow was at stake, or my team was at stake, or losing clients was at stake, I've been in those places where it just feels like you are chained to the business and you are saying to yourself, I've got to be there. I've got to return that call. I've got to be working 24/7, or I'm feeling guilty. And I've been in that place where I've seen myself just work again and again and again and again and work endlessly. So I know what that's like. Luckily enough, I don't suffer from that now because since I've been running businesses since 2008. And as you grow and you develop and you learn, and so you can do that one or two ways. You can either learn from someone that's already done it, or you can learn the hard way through experience. And a lot of the time, I learned the hard way through experience. Is that actually sometimes being chained to the business is something that we're doing as individuals, we're doing ourselves, rather than it's actually a false belief that your business is going to fall apart if you take a day off. It's a false belief, but you don't realize it when you're in it. And it's often very difficult. So, how I deal with it now is very different because I've built a good management team. I've got good people around me, which is really helpful. But I think, I know that you got a lot of questions around this. There have been times where it's not been so easy for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, how would you find a work-life balance? Does it even exist for entrepreneurs? As you said, building a strong team around you, but is there any other ways?
I think the work life balance. First of all, everything starts up here. Starts with the mindset. And one of my mentors, Sarah, has always said to me, is it's good not to just always run on adrenaline. You have to be able to remove yourself from situations and actually calm down and let the adrenaline go down, because then you can actually see things clearly. Because I think what happens with a lot of business owners is they run on adrenaline, which means they're go. They're in that mindset where they're just go. And because of that, they're constantly on the go, they're constantly on the move, they're constantly hooked on the business. And then they don't ever take any time to breathe. They don't take any time to be strategic and actually look at things in a positive way. So, how do you achieve a work life balance? Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that you can do is make it a non negotiable. So, decide in advance, because whatever we decide is what we end up seeing in our lives. Decide in advance that I'm not going to be that business owner that doesn't have any work life balance. I'll give you a few examples. Like right now, every Tuesday, I have my little boy. I pick him up from school. Every Wednesday, I drop him off to school. So I'm always doing that every single week. It's a decision. Do things come up? Well, I wouldn't be able to do that. Of course they do, but it's non-negotiable.
Mhm.
That's what I do. It's in my diary. It's one of the biggest things that there's two. I'm going to get into some more practical tips. I'll give you some more examples. At the weekend, I have my little boy. Could I work weekends? Yes, but I decide not to. So I make it an absolute non-negotiable in my life that I will have some time for myself. And that's the first thing that people should do, is they should make that decision. And you really need to look at what is important in your life to you. And I think people respect it. I think people would respect me more for saying, you know what, if you call me on a Tuesday afternoon, I ain't gonna answer the phone. And you'd be like, well, actually, I desperately need to talk to you. Well, then it can wait till Wednesday, or it can be one of my team members that deals with it. And when I didn't have a team member, I just, as long as you're communicating, you're saying, hey, I'm not available on Tuesday afternoons, people will do it. So the first tip is make it a non-negotiable, absolutely non-negotiable, that you are going to have that time and there's protected time. The tip number two: every successful person I've ever met in my life, and I've met a lot, and I know a lot of very, very successful people, every single one of them that are super successful run their life via a calendar. If it's not in the calendar, it doesn't get done. If it is in the calendar, it does get done. Now, don't get me wrong, I run a very strict calendar. Sometimes things overrun, sometimes other things come up. But I almost look at it like failure if the stuff in my calendar that I was there to do doesn't get done. So I have that discipline. So you get your calendar, and then you, whatever you put in the calendar gets done, and you have discipline around that. And that is a really big thing. If you don't do that and you don't plan your life on a calendar, you're not going to be a top 1% success. All right. Because that's what every top 1%, I mean, like the one percenters, this is what I'm talking about, is very, very successful, or millionaires are going to run by their calendar with ultimate discipline around, if it's in the calendar, it gets done. And that's
Yeah.
what all successful people do. People that are not successful don't do that. People that are successful do that. So, like, literally take that from me, having interviewed 300 millionaires, billionaires, A-list stars, superstars, super successful people, executives, CEOs. Every single one of them runs a strict calendar that's successful. So it's something that you can do, and you might be sitting there and you go, well, I'm a small business, and I'm looking after two children at home. Why do I need to run my life by a calendar? Well, you'd be a lot more efficient if you did, because you would start to, even if you're in that place where you're a part-time mum, part-time business owner, for example, you're running your business at home and you're like, well, I don't need a calendar. Well, if you did and you started opening up your calendar and you're like, hey, I'm going to leave at this time to pick the kids up, and that leaves me with this time here to do these different activities, and then I'm going to go here and I'm going to do these activities then, and then I'm going to pick the kids up, and then I'm going to make dinner, and you started planning out, you would find that you would become much more productive, much more efficient, much more time aware. Because in order for you to have a work life balance, you have to become time aware. So that, which really brings me to the next part, which is discipline. Got to have some discipline. If you want to have work life balance, you've got that non negotiable, but then you've got to have some discipline about following through. You go, oh yeah, but it's Sally from work. Sally needs to talk to me. Doesn't matter, it's Sally. No one talks to you on the time that you blocked out, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you have no. I did just, as you mentioned, I just took a 2 week holiday. In that entire 2 weeks that I was away, there was one business phone call in 14 days. I can tell you, odd text messages, but only one phone call, and that was because something came up that I was concerned about, and it was me that initiated the phone call. No one else called me. And I was like, okay, I looked at that and I was like, right, okay. But I can also tell you I did no work. But what I did do some work, but I'll tell you what I did, which is important work, is I deeply read many different business books and philosophy books around building, growing, and scaling businesses. And that, in my mind, was the work that I was doing. I was doing it in a peaceful, undistracted way that allowed me time to think, and time to be able to take action. And look, some people, it's funny enough, because my girlfriend, who also runs a business, would never dream of reading a business book while she's on holiday. She'd read one while she was at work, but she wouldn't read one while she was on holiday.
Mhm.
But she's like, but that's what I enjoy doing. So for me, that is relaxing to
Yeah.
read something around. That's what I enjoy doing. So that's what I would say in terms of holiday. I don't know if I answered the question there. I think,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, here we go. Work life balance. How do you achieve work life balance? First of all, non-negotiables. These are my non-negotiables. And actually, this is why people have no work life balance. It's because you're not taking the time to do what I tell you to do now, which is stop what you're doing. Stop running around, pull the car over, take an interrupt in your life for just 1 second and be strategic, which is stop right now and say, okay, what are my non negotiables? What am I not willing to sacrifice? And if you don't pull over or you don't stop or you don't go and sit down in the gym or wherever you are, whatever you're listening, it's because that means maybe you're too on the go to even have your pattern
Mhm.
interrupted to allow you to just be strategic for a minute. Because that one thing, writing down your non-negotiables, is the first building block of you being able to build a work-life balance in your life. That's the first building block.
Yeah.
And the second building block is right now, I'm going to plan that into my calendar. I'm going to plan those non negotiables into my calendar. So, under no circumstances, I'm going to get what I want for my business. I'm going to get what I want for my life. And then the third building block will be the discipline and the focus to follow through on them. And before you know, guess what? You'll have the work life balance.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And something that's great that you do provide is inside of one of your success planners is that you've broken down that time management into 30-minute increments. And
Yeah.
when I first started and come along the journey with you, that's something that I took on board. And when you get disciplined with that, it really, really
Mhm.
does make a difference. And Adam, you've started, grown, and scaled multiple successful businesses over the years, but how's your perspective on the importance of time out changed over those years?
Yeah, so I'm going to address what you said then, and then I'm going to go to this question. One of the things that I have in my calendar is what we call time blocking. So one of my mentors many, many years ago, Marco, great guy, says to me, Adam, I want you to document in your 8 hour day what you do every 15 minutes. I want you to write it down at the end of every
Yeah.
15 minutes. And after he asked me to do that, he said, what you'll find is that you have a lot more time than you think you have,
Yeah.
but time is eluding you because you're not managing time. He made me do that for 14 days. And I basically printed off my Outlook calendar 14 days, 15-minute increments. He said, I want you to write down the good stuff. I want you to write down the bad stuff. I want you to write down the ugly stuff. He said, I don't care if you sat and looked at the wall for 15 minutes. You write down, I sat and looked at the wall for 15 minutes. What matters is that we're honest with ourselves. And then we can look at what do we do with our 8 hours. Now, he made me do that. And I remember having lots of like Sky Sports, 15 minutes, whatever, like little things that were wasting time. And then quite frequently I realized after 14 days that actually, if I were to remove these, I actually have plenty of time.
Yeah.
So I'm telling him I don't have any time. And this is the funny thing, because sometimes one of the books I did read while I was on holiday was Elon Musk's book. And nobody can say I don't have the time if you read that book,
Yeah.
because and you could say I don't have the time to read the book because it's 653 pages, but it's very worthwhile. But this guy is somebody that's reinvented the payment system of the internet with PayPal. He created the first version of Google Maps with Zip2. All right, so Zip2 was first, then it was PayPal
Mhm.
next. He then took the money he received from PayPal, built a rocket company from scratch called SpaceX,
Yeah.
revolutionized the car industry as well. And the SpaceX company, now NASA, give them the contracts to launch the rockets into space.
Yeah.
Right, so he did he managed to launch two companies at once. He then started the boring company, which drills underground tunnels through cities. In addition to that, he founded, which most people don't know, OpenAI, which is the creator of
Yeah.
ChatGPT as well. On top of that, he's making robots. He's sending people to Mars,
Got so
and he's the richest man in the world. Solar things,
yeah,
all these different things, and he's done that in the past 20 years. What have you done?
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
it's like, how can you say you had the time? Because you had the same 20 years he's had. The difference is he's changed the world, you haven't. Well, do we think Elon Musk probably uses his time better than us? Undoubtedly,
Yeah.
right? So that's what we have to consider. That I don't ever subscribe to that you haven't got the time. Now you can. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but hopefully there was a point to it. Now you have your question. You just
So
had. We'll
over
go
the
back.
years,
Yeah.
how's your perspective of actually taking time out changed from when you first started on your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, definitely. So the first year of my entrepreneurial journey, I did everything wrong. and I basically worked 24/7, and I was there late at night, I was there early in the morning. I was in grind mode, because I'd read too many or listened to too many silly people saying, "Oh, you got to get up at 5 a.m. and you got to leave at 10 p.m." I was exhausted, burnt out, and I'd made no money, and I was stressed out, and I hated life. So that's how I started. Where I'm at now is I want to take 6 holidays a year. I want to spend time with my son, and I still want to make money.
Yeah,
And you
nice.
can,
Yeah,
right? And with my girlfriend as well, I'm going. You can go and do what you want.
yeah,
The difference is how you use your time. So what would I say? I think I'm completely in over the course of whatever it is. 2008 was my first business to where we are today. A fair bit of time is completely transformed. I think you need time out. I think everyone needs to take time out. I think everybody needs to recharge, reset, and re-go. I think it's very, very empowering for people to do so. It doesn't matter if you're a one man army, you're a 100 person, whatever, you're a CEO. Everybody needs to take that time out of their business to allow the adrenaline to leave their body for them to be able to recharge themselves and to become more successful.
yeah. Gives them a chance to read
Yeah,
some
so
books as well. Like,
yeah, totally. Big thank you, Jamie. Great questions today, mate.
thanks for having
This
me,
has been
Ed.
amazing, everyone. If you like Jamie being on here, tell us in the comments. If not, we'll get Chris back. And hopefully we can help you very, very soon in growing your business. And hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you have, go and give us a nice review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you can manage it, because that's the way that this podcast grows. Thanks, everybody. See you on the next episode.